Well, it started in Iraq, then spread to neighboring Syria. But ISIS is making a big push to expand its terrorist franchise far beyond those two countries. It has so-called provinces now in Libya, in North Africa. And there are other terror networks as well operating in that country already, namely Al Qaeda, whose affiliates are also vying for control of the failed state, setting the stage possibly for a showdown between the two powerful terror groups. For more on this, I'm joined now by Joscelyn. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, where he focuses on Al Qaeda and its affiliates operating around the world. This morning, he joins us from New York. Thanks for being on our program.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So let's begin by talking about Al Qaeda in Libya and the type of power base they have there.
Well, it's interesting, ISIS grabs all the headlines because of their over-the-top brutality in these videos that we see, these gruesome, awful execution videos. So they advertise what they're doing and where they are and how their fighters are sort of marching through various towns and cities. But Al Qaeda takes a much more subtle approach, and what they're trying to do and what they've done in Libya is they've sort of ingrained their organizations in various hotspots. And they don't garner as much attention worldwide as ISIS does. But in fact, in Libya, our assessment currently is that Al Qaeda actually has a stronger presence in Libya than ISIS does.
So could that lead to a power struggle? Have the two groups been fighting?
Yeah, we've already seen that in a couple of cities. In fact, in Derna, there was some misreporting last year that said ISIS, which held a parade in Derna, that they had taken over the entire city, which has tens of thousands of residents. And that's just not true. In fact, Al Qaeda's presence, or the Al Qaeda loyalists in Derna, are much stronger than ISIS is. And we've seen that when ISIS entered Derna, in fact, some of ISIS's leaders, including one that was dispatched to Libya by the head of ISIS in Iraq and Syria, were actually killed by the Al Qaeda loyalists. So they have been fighting.
In terms of philosophy, what's the biggest difference between Al Qaeda and ISIS?
Well, of course, they share the same long-term objective of resurrecting the caliphate. However, Al Qaeda has a much more staged and I think pragmatic long-term approach to this, where they don't believe you can just declare yourself to be the caliphate and be successful. Now, ISIS does. ISIS thinks that they can do that, and of course, they've had a lot of success of late in doing it. But they have the same underlying, much of their ideology is really the same. What Al Qaeda has done is basically evolve different tactics, because what they believe is that what ISIS does in terms of its over-the-top brutality and this grotesque videos and that sort of thing alienates more of the Muslim majority world than it gains as terms of supporters. Al Qaeda really wants to gain more Muslim supporters. That's what they're trying to do. And they think that ISIS in the long run is turning off more potential supporters than they're turning on. And we're going to find out which one of them is right.
And in terms of recruitment, is ISIS winning on that front?
ISIS has had a lot of success when it comes to the young fighters, the hotheads, as I call them, the new jihadists. They've had much less success in wooing established jihadist groups to their cause. In fact, Al Qaeda still maintains a much stronger international network all the way from Libya and West Africa through the Horn of Africa into the heart of Yemen and places like that into South Asia. Really, the place where the Islamic State or ISIS is the strongest right now is Iraq and Syria. Everywhere else, Al Qaeda is still stronger.
Joscelyn, great speaking with you. Come back on our program again. Appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me.